we're going to talk to Sean Rose. Sean Rose, reporter extraordinaire. He's going to tell us about the stories making the news this week. Sean.
Greetings, Edrica. Greetings, viewers. An interesting development occurred today. The government of the Virgin Islands now has its own e-government portal, electronic government portal. So residents and, of course, folks around the world can access government information, news, and even conduct business when they do launch phase 2, because this one was actually phase 1. And it will allow anyone to conduct business online with the various government ministries and departments. So that should certainly be a game changer. In fact, the chairman of the e-government committee, Honorable Marlon Penn, who represents the 8th district, says that the launch or the move to e-government was a necessity and not an option for the government and people of the territory. Let's hear him in this clip.
Doing business online and operating in the digital age has become second nature to most people living in the Virgin Islands or doing business in the Virgin Islands. We live in an age of Amazon, Bing, Google, with a data-driven consumer base that requires information at their fingertips and with the click of a button. So, transforming the way government of the Virgin Islands had conducted business was not an option, but a necessity.
Of course, other questions arise when you hear a government moving online, given the nature of today's cyber world, so many cyber attacks. You have some malicious internet users who have other interests as opposed to simply reading news releases online or conducting business with government. And we know what has happened in many instances across the world, especially in financial matters. So one question that I posed to the Honorable Penn was, how secure is this government portal going to be? And he reassured the entire listening public that some very creative, trendy, top security tools have been employed. He didn't give details, but he says that he's quite confident that the security tools that they are using will keep the government portal safe. Let's hear him again.
One of the key elements that we looked at when we were developing the site was security. The government still maintains its current security infrastructure. We're also looking at encryption in terms of the data transmission when it relates to transferring payments and so forth. So we're looking at best practice as it relates to security. We have some of the best security tools from different vendors. I wouldn't want to share that with the public, but we have some very best-in-breed security tools that we use within the government service currently. So we've already looked into that aspect of security. It's very important to us and critical to us with this project.
So Penn seems quite confident that that part of it is, well taken care of as well. And we can now move to that point where we know we don't have to go into the various ministries to stand in line to simply access information or even to conduct business. And I know that, Cromwell, that's one discussion we've had here when you've suggested in the past you would like to see the day when you can simply conduct business from the comfort of your home.
Well, that's right, Sean. I'm exceedingly excited about the whole e-government, and I'm hoping that they get the connection, the relationship built around the government pretty fast, where you could just stay on your computer and pay your bills, whether it's motor vehicle, your taxes, electricity, water and sewage, fill out your applications for immigration status, whether it's work permits or what have you, land registry, land tax, just be online. And when, I think more importantly for me personally is being able to collect, to access data at will. I want to know something, I'm on the air, and I want to know what the employment rate was 2 years ago. While my discussion, I want to be able to get on my smartphone and just call that up while I'm talking. So I'm excited about it. I know this is just phase 1, and I'm hoping that when phase 2 is completed, that we'll have all the connections made, and we'll have all the modern convenience of online services.
One of the interesting observations as well is that the entire project, well, phase 1 of this project, and more than likely phase 2 as well, will be done solely by the public officers at the Department of Information Technology. I find that quite interesting because usually, or at least in the past, when it comes to information technology work, we have gone outside of the region. I know that CARICOM launched a e-government project sometime in 2010, and other Caribbean countries too have been moving in that particular direction. Montserrat already has e-government and a number of other Caribbean countries, but it's interesting to note that you didn't have to go outside to find the skills to have this done, all indigenous.
Speak to the talent that we have here in the BVI, and as long as we can harness that talent, those resources, and give our people opportunity to make their contribution, I'm sure we'll find that we have a talent right here, and I think it bodes well for us in the present and the future. So, you know, it's exciting, and I'm happy that we were able to access that type of resource, that level of resource here in the territory, because so often you hear, particularly companies from outside, when they come in, they say, oh, we can't find this here, we can't find this talent here, we don't have this skill set here, we don't, and they just feel like they have to bring in everything that they need. And in a lot of instances, it may not be the case. And I think one of the things that we have to continue to enforce is the BVI Lander preferred part of the work permit, so that we make sure that the talent that we have is used and not put on the sidelines for persons coming from someplace else. So I'm glad that's a good example of how about the talent that we have in the territory.
And there is also training and career opportunities there as well. So as you speak to that, the opportunities that would arise as a result of this e-government portal ought to be taken up by the indigenous community, and in failure to do so would pretty much see the opposite to what you're suggesting, because from my observation, this is one area where a lot of young people can definitely look to. In fact, some 30 websites were being used by the public, or at least hosted by the various government ministries and departments over the last couple of years. We never recognized it was that much. Now you have one government website, one central location to access relevant information as it relates to government services. And
we have to be prepared. Virgin Islanders have to be prepared to take their rightful places in the community. It's not enough to say we are born here, we are Virgin Islanders. We have to be Virgin Islanders that are prepared with the skill sets to take advantage of the opportunities developing in our country. So I think we ought to keep that in mind as well. Sean, I'm excited. I know you are looking forward to seeing the development of the e-government as well, and I'm certainly hoping that we get to it pretty soon. Thanks a lot for that great report.